having a session this rainy morning. Uh, we'll start the session. Let me introduce our speaker, Dr. Subbaiah. Is a wonderful, nice person, and is a founder and data scientist at Sixth Consultancy, Chennai, focused R&D, training, and consultancy in data science and Bayesian methods. He's also associated with the Akroma Gyan Vikas Private Limited, Chennai, providing analytical solution in financial and trading platforms. Prior to this, he has involved in college teaching for about 2 decades, and he has worked as a data scientist in HCL Technologies Limited. He has been an active researcher and trainer in computer-intensive techniques, machine learning procedures, and probabilistic computations. He has developed 4R packages. He has been a part of multiple panel discussions and delivered a talk in PhDs India. He holds a master's degree in mathematics and a PhD Bayesian interface and a PG diploma in operational research. I hope it should be a wonderful session. Let's start. Sir, Dr. Subbaiah, sir.
Yeah.
We can start, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Professor what's the name? I just forgot. Bhaskar. Yeah, Bhaskar. There are 3 persons I couldn't remember. Sorry.
No,
and thank you, Professor Bhaskar, for the nice introduction. And of course, good morning to one and all. And it's a great pleasure to have a discussion or a presentation on the set topic, which is very essential.
Interrupt you, sir. Your screen is not visible, it seems.
I didn't share my screen, or rather I share my video too.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just now I start the video. Anyway, yeah, hi to all. So I think I'm audible and there is no technical issues anywhere. If so,
Yes,
please report me at any point of time, and of course, Professor Bhaskar would also help you out. And yeah, the topic which we try to focus today or discuss whatever way, it's a very important aspect other than the typical application of AI and ML in a big way in our digital era. Yeah. So the title was quite appreciable, and I really appreciate the organizers, the whole bunch of organizers for providing this beautiful title, because when we try to do something, we must know the flip side of the coin also. So it's I'm very much happy that I have an opportunity to talk about the challenges mainly, and then some kind of limitations. Anyway, we'll start from that. Yeah. Before that, I just want you to know, let you know that I would like to engage you almost 190 minutes or so. So my presentations were well rehearsed. So even yesterday, so I did few homework so that the session would be to the justified timings. Meanwhile, if you have any issues or anything to raise, please stop me at any point of time. I'm ready to. In fact, I love to have more and more discussion, more and more interactions while I was teaching in undergraduate engineering or any other courses for that matter. So by and large, I encourage normally discussion based. So never hesitate if you are finding it even boring at the extreme level, and if you feel that you would like to clarify or correct me if I'm wrong, never hesitate, and we can have an open thing. So it doesn't mean that I need to run all the 90 minutes with my slides. That's not that much important. If anybody wants to interrupt, please rise or stop me if you don't get anything rationally or meaningfully from my presentation. Okay, because it's something, yeah, kind of compilation from many people's work, many people's research, and how we gain from them. So naturally, might have some questions, might have some disapproval rather. So you are free to stop me at any point of time. So this is the point which I would like to convey you people. So hope you could see some meaningful presentation from me. Yeah. So let me share my screen. Okay, so before I start, I have a caution that or acknowledgement from you people. Professor Bhaskar, whether the screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay, so it may not be possible to get the acknowledgement from every individual. So if you
Sure.
have any trouble, please message or chat or whatever the way you communicate so that you can sort it out. So now I start my presentation, which runs through the title of today's talk: limitations and criticism of the use of artificial intelligence. And of course, I have already acknowledged the organizers. An excellent title altogether, and really requires that acknowledgement and appreciation. Okay, so people would like to talk about uh, betterment and the way in which technology is, implemented. But this is something we need to talk about in this gap. Yeah. So the word limitation, by and large, in the societies are in a broad sense of research community. Normally, I don't know exactly about the participants, but by and large, it is having a negative connotations, a negative meaning. But it is not so. That I want to clarify in first point itself. Like, limitations are very much important for us. Whenever there is a need to continue and work from some background, and we are continuing our effort from the previous success stories. Definitely any success story or any success implementation would have some new avenues and new opportunities, and sometimes you may be a game changer so that you can shift a paradigm totally in a new way. Therefore, understanding the limitation is absolutely important for a research or a business or a commercial point of view. So by and large, limitation is the biggest asset for any committed and motivated researcher or a student or a entrepreneur, business people who try to pitch on new business. People try to find out what is wrong in the existing procedure or what is the gap in the existing procedure. That's what I try to understand from the word, or I try to instill the meaning of the word limitation. Especially once you understand the gap, that needs a lot of knowledge, lot of information. What is actually being the gap in the current situation? It requires a lot and lot of idea about the current practices and sometime from the earlier history, let us say. Therefore, at another time, I appreciate the people who are ready to talk about limitation of a particular aspect, limitation of a particular, even some process. Okay, so it's very important why we need to understand a gap, or why should we do a gap analysis. So that is what I need to explain or limitation is any continual improvement process, people. Okay, so if you are in the line of improvement, then it is up to you to catch what is the limitation of existing procedures. Yeah. Then this is a big disclaimer, of course, the usual thing, because I told you already that I'm trying to compile many articles, many blogs, many written by many great people, great thought processes, and I'm trying to share with you for an informational purpose. Perhaps you could get something from me in the research point of view, from a commercial point of view, from a business point of view, and some implementation of AI education also, if you are interested. So in all that aspect, we try to collect material from different part of this internet ocean. So it is our duty to acknowledge them, and that is what I'm doing now. So there are a lot of people who made this thing very successful. Even though I never endorse anybody's result or anybody's research, I can following some link or paper, whatever I suggest, it is up to you to check if it is accurate. Okay, so I don't endorse anybody's thing. And yeah, and this is the plan what we are trying to do for the next maybe according to me it is 90 minutes or 80 minutes. So this is the way we try to work out one by one. So as I told you, that to reach the goal of limitation, to reach this part, it is not direct. You can't read directly what is the limitation of so and so. Okay, you need to go back. So where to start? So where to start? you need to understand what is current practice, what is going on now in the industry or in research paradigm or research realm, and then you try to find out the gaps. Okay, this is the way I wanted to implement so and so technique. Why those people thought in that way? Why not it is? So that gap will be something an intuitional thinking. That's what I say, perceived gaps. You need to get what could be made to better to have a betterment in the current practices, and where I can take. Okay, that may be a long process. Sometimes it may not be possible also, but you must know where to start. For that, the biggest lesson is to understand the challenge, understand the limitation, where that limitation sometime would have been spelt by the same author, same person who are devising it. Okay, for example, you buy a car, and the car will be given with a handbook. What is the intended purpose for that? So how much? What is the maximum speed, the safest speed you can go? That is a limitation. So if you buy a 800cc car and you are pushing it to 120, 140, 160, then that handbook would say this is not a safety speed, or your odometer may say a red light or something warning a system, warning system, etc. So the producer, the manufacturer of the car is clearly tell you this is the limitation. Don't push it to the boundary within this uh, setup. So you must know. So we are able to read how much my 800cc can be pushed upon. So what is the boundary? So in which road I am driving? So all these things, as a driver, as a user, you must know. That is what the meaning of limitation. The car is manufactured to go up to 160, no problem, but it has a limitation. It creates some unnecessary challenge to the machine as well as the man behind the wheel and the passengers too. So you must have the idea about the limitation. Okay, so that is where the gap. This is the idea of what I try to talk to you. So the whole system, whole presentation will be of this map, this trajectory. Okay, and yeah, this is second time I just want, because I may not find time later. So wherever possible, I just to complete my acknowledgement for the great people behind in it. There are many authors, writers, thinkers, bloggers, and many people. Okay, who helped us to know the field more and more exactly, even though we are not so much on the production line. Yeah. So the themes for the presentation will be of five. So Genesis, as I told you, inevitably we have to get some idea about the origin, about the genesis of the problem, and some techniques. I come to this point: business and technology and philosophy and ethics. So these are all the various themes in which you can understand the limitation of A, limitation of ML or DS. So all these three words we can interchangeably use, because there is a mild difference between these three conceptually. Otherwise, it's more or less same jargons. Okay, similar kind of jargon, so that you can play it in a little bit subtly different way, but almost, to my point of view, okay, it's almost similar. There is no major definition, scientific definition to draw the lines between the terms. Yeah, coming back to this, why I took this the three, I mean five. The three in between are techniques, business, technology. So once again, I just to compare this like you drive a car. Okay, technique is a road. You have a laid road. Road is laid on to that theory. Let us call it as the road is laid on. Business is and a lighthouse, let us say, or a light on the other side of the tunnel. You may know what I mean. So it may be an economical power, it may be a superpower sometime, or you may have some success stories because of your commercial success, economical success, or anything as a satisfaction that I have done something. So that is what I call it as a business. Okay, you have a lamppost, you have a milestone, and sorry, sorry, technology is a vehicle in which you are traveling towards that lighthouse or a milestone in that road laid by techniques. So techniques are different, technology is different. So what is your role in which case you would like to get into this, the world of AI, world of ML, world of DS, I mean data science. Okay, so we have to be very clear, and the requirement is all the three. People should know techniques, people should know the business problem, and people should know the technology. So which is your role? And all the roles have probably its good and bad ugly things. Okay, so it has all the three components in all the three. Therefore, the middle three are the actual um, process of AI, which we are targeting as limitation of AI. Whereas it is my practice. In fact, I perceive, I could say very, I admit myself that always it is better to know more on from the scientific histories. Okay, not general history we are talking about. We are talking about the growth of science in whatever the field. So where people started, why that human mind brought a beautiful ideas, from where we move on over centuries, and what we are today as a digital world. Okay, so how today people are working, human mind is working again and again very effectively, so that the future generation will be more and more productive and effective, helpful, whatever the way. So Genesis is ideally uh, my favorite. Okay. And philosophy and ethics, absolutely, because our digital world today requires lot of education in this area. So I came to know that most of your college professors and researchers. So you have, of course, I don't deny that you know all these things. All of them may be with you, but just I would like to touch few points where industry, academic, and everybody in the society, as a father, mother, brother, and everybody, have the responsibility in mitigating or in providing digital solutions in our home, in our office, in our business, everywhere. Okay, so this is the broad thing I'm trying to put, why these teams have been coined. Yeah. So the history, very short and probably sweet. I don't know how much it is sweet, but I make it only 3 slides, so it is really short, really. But the sweetness, it depends on, okay, it's up to a perception. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about one lady, not much, who is the companion of Charles Babbage, everybody knows. And she was a daughter of Byron, one of the biggest romantic poetists of that time, and of course even today. And the mother we'll talk a little bit later. Yeah. So, but for the gender difference, I don't see them very seriously. I never have biased in that. But people say that people attribute to this lady that she was the first programmer, a lady programmer, in fact, who uses the analytical engine. But what impressed me is more and more important. What you are trying to do as analytical machine or machine learning or etc. etc. That idea has been conceptualized, visualized, viewed from her intuition in those period. Just you look at the period, it is 1815 to 1852. She called boldly that Charles Babbage engine as analytical engine, and she says it can do beyond numbers. It can do beyond numbers, and it can do more and more with abstract science of operation. What we are doing today, okay, and she has gone to an extent of saying that the machine can understand the science of harmony and music composition, which is one among the greatest thing which you could observe from music directors, composers, how computer intervened in the industry maybe 40 years ago. So this is something done some 200 years ago. That was remarkably, I feel, how this lady could have thought. There is a reason behind in it, in fact. Yeah, I will come in the third slide. What is that? What I want to bring from her great mind is the thinking, the intuition, how much she gives the importance for intuition and human thinking. This is very essential for even in the digital era. You may be surprised, or you may know, yeah, this is important, but I would like to continue in that storyboard. So, if you would like to read more about this lady, there is a book by Betty Alexandra Tully, a nice book written by him, written of the story of this lady Ada. Yeah, so you can read them, and just I would like to say that she provides a beautiful way of looking at the computer science as a poetical science. It requires articulation, art, and the science, and I think there cannot be any other term which could describe our achievements so far, our attempts in the future, in the typical word called poetical science. Okay, yeah, that's what I would like to convey or connect from the history. And this is one among the reasons, and another reason why I want to talk about this lady. Yeah. Father, I told you that is Byron, and everybody knows what is his celebrity and pride, and people would have enjoyed his lines or doing. I don't know. Mother, on the other hand, is an entirely different personality. She was very much, objectivist, in the sense she has very clear goal, and there is no subjectivity like the partner Byron had. So I don't know what made them to get this kind of child, but Ada acknowledged that she got a two-folded thing, because mentally she has that poetical impetus, whereas in brain she is able to work mathematically. So she is so much logically blended and everything. So many letters of Ada to her father in her late 20s, I believe, are exploring this story. So as I mentioned, if you would like to understand about this lady, you could read the book. It is available in fact today. And the takeaway from this three-slide story from the history is, yes, two things. One is the intuition, the power of intuition you must understand, and more important, this objectivity versus subjectivity. This is one of the biggest problem today. Okay, that I'll tell you the reason. I'll connect later on what happens when we try to build algorithms using or in an objective point of view or a subjective point of view. But remember, there is an example I'm showing you that both are necessarily balanced when we have a thinking machine. So, as a human, when we try to think, these two will be balanced. We must know when to mix objectivity more on the problem, and when to recover from our subjectivity and then move on to that other plane, and vice versa. So, it's very, very essential in many, many research platforms and commercial platform also. Okay, that means when you go for product development and etc. Okay, so this indicates that you must have a broad sense of getting your techniques. Okay, remember that my theme is technique. So technique is, you must have a broad mind to balance between your objective brain or objective mind and subjective thoughts and objective thoughts, whatever the way. Yeah, so you are going to get into the AI realm of AI, which is absolutely a multifaceted fellow. So you have to prepare completely on, at least on these six which I have come out. There are many, in fact. One is the arena of approximation and optimization. One of the biggest supporting tool people must equip themselves, and then the quantification of uncertainty, equally ambiguity also, as well. People have to a strong algorithm and programming skill. Then inevitably there is something from area of probability, equally with statistics, and the last 50 years terminology we are people are enthralling with that is data modeling and simulations. Okay, and finally the lamppost or the milestone, business challenges and opportunities. So naturally the other five and other component of that five are completely driven by these challenges and opportunities, because many times many sciences, many technology uh, uh, goals are successful only when they become commercial outfit, they have commercial outfit, so that they are viable for economics, viable for commercial, viable for the society. Then it has grown up as a bigger achievements. So science needs certain vehicle. Okay, that's what I compare in the beginning, how we look at technology, how we look at techniques, how we look at business. So this triangle is very much important. So if you are ready to understand the world around you, if you try to understand the world around AI, which you call it as, then this is the big picture. We have to mine deeply into each of these topics depending on your flavor. So I take this widest applications, one of the widest applications, in fact, from if you believe, if you want to know that it emerges from 17th century by this person, French person Kachi, and German Design, and Englishman Fisher. So what you talk about today is actually conceptualized by these people. They may not know, they have never left us with any limitation, any challenge, but they open up that this is the way you are driving, this is the way you are running. Okay, so if you are anybody who is familiar with modeling, you would have heard about two words. One is the information, another one is assign matrix. These two are coined by the great thought process of human. So optimization, inevitably, what we do it in many algorithms. The father of them is actually Kachi. He made a lot of contributions, and in the year of 1847 is the biggest achievement in the a world what we are looking at from optimization and approximations, calculus, etc. So, but I'm more interested in looking at the word information. But why we are interested in information? I'll tell you in a short while. Yeah. So let us take a simple problem from real-time case that I want to know that my EHR, we say electronic health records, are from available social science or any survey, whatever the way we collect data. My interest is whether the patient has coronary heart disease. If anybody want to understand more on that, they can use this link. Many link, of course, this is particularly from National Health source, so that you can, it is quite authentic for that from my point of view. Yeah. So we have binary response altogether. That means the patient has CHD or not, and my machine or my data has to say from the possible medical reasons or possible psychological reasons or some family history or anything, demography, and so on. So we try to understand this is a typical problem a machine is supposed to do. Why machine is supposed to do? Let us try to answer one by one. So this is the typical model, and I don't spend much time, but it is just continuity of the component. And compared to the previous case, this is going to be my random component. I don't know, and what is the reason behind to understand the plausibility or the susceptibility of CHD is what collected from the patient record. Therefore, it has third component and some other technical component also. So that gives you the modeling aspect of such problem with response variable and many factors which could affect CHD, which could influence the reasons for CHD, and then there is a mathematical expression over that. We just understand that these are all the basic mathematics behind in it, and the right hand side of the equation, top equation, gives you the various reasons, predictors or features in your computer science language, and then the right hand side calculates the probability or the susceptibility level, whatever the way you could understand in some log scale, so we don't mind too much on it. So it calculates that. So finally I try to collect a mathematical model for a commercial problem from EHR, electronic health record, whether the given patient is having susceptibility or a probability of having heart disease. Okay, so that is mathematically expressed now. So now what we try to do is, here in earlier, we try to estimate. The word is actually changed, but the process is very much same. We try to estimate this relation values or weights, we could say easily in the data science language. But actually, we also done the same experiment of what you call it as learn. So learning process is inevitably existing in such situation. Why mission? Still I haven't answered. This is the way, because the problem doesn't have an analytical solution like 2 plus 2 4, where human can do easily, but we need an iterative solution and lot of things. So this is what I connect from those two great people. One is the information. So information is actually what that what we try to learn from data, what we understand from data is crunched into this matrix format. So it is the way people try to connect data to the machine. So we need a language how machine can understand, maybe an array. So what you learn from the data is fed into a readable form for a computer, which even before the age of computers, people could understand and coin the meaning of the word information. So we try to learn information from the matrix, from the data, which is controlled by something called Fisher matrix or Hessian matrix in your simple algorithms. In fact, it has a lot of role today. Okay, so this is the algorithm a machine can easily understand. Any language can be adapted for that. So I have a R program later on, and this is a simple example. I take it from real-time data, South Africa data, and you could see there are 10 variables, of which 10th is the CHT, the response variable, 9 predictors. You could see some medical data, some family history. Type A behavior is psychological behavior variable. Obesity is physical status, and alcohol, lifestyle. These are all lifestyle variable, and this is demography. So you can add more variables, of course, by just for example case, I just limited myself with age and CHT. So my problem is restricted to find out the probability of CHT with the impact of age. The rest of the variables I don't consider for this presentation for that matter. Okay, yeah. So I run the iteration step by step manually with the computation engine. But each iteration, what happens to my answer, what happens to my estimate, how machine is learning, I just want you to portray, sorry, have a look that it is learning in a very quick way in a very microsecond time. So but the graph in the bottom, you could see the absolute difference of estimates between successive iterations. That means difference between these two, difference between these two, third and second, fourth and third, fifth and fourth, sixth and fifth, and so on and so forth. So 14th and 13th difference, you could see that quickly it reaches, it starts, I mean, it is able to learn quickly, and in such a way that it is able to converge to an answer approximation. So we start from approximations, and machine is allowed to learn quickly, and it must know where to stop. Learning is more than statistics. Learning is actually where to start, how to grow, and where to stop. Essentially, we must know all the algorithms will be blended in that way. So I keep on doing beyond this number, just to show you the graphically that it reaches almost uh, subsequent iteration value are zero. That means the value is converged to that value, that exact. So even if that analytic solution doesn't provide you, or it is not equipped with analytical solution, iterative procedures are very much handy. So computers are only inevitable solution for human being, which is not possible in the human hands. Yeah. So once again, I emphasize that it is the way computer learns from data. It is existing long ago. So do we do this process today? Yeah, of course. This is one of the biggest challenging environment in econometrics problems, where these same three people's achievements and their sciences have been applied even in the year 2020. And this is a nice article. Anybody interested in econometrics, they could understand what is the way the algorithms are smoothened to handle the very specialized data normally existing in econometrics model, particularly the stock return data. So stock return data, everybody may know that it is having high volatile. So business point of view or research point of view, absolutely high volatile, but still people are able to bring you digital portfolio management system. Yeah, the man behind this article is fan from some American, top level, top universities, heading in the Department of Operation Research and Statistics, and doing a lot of machine learning, robust portfolio selection. His videos and his material can be followed. It is one of the biggest requirement today for algorithm, right? We call it as mm, fast trading, high frequency trading software. So we need to have this GAN based. So I don't need to specify thing because you are from computer science background. So adversarial network, and this is another paper which I can show you the title, but I think it is by some other author, but they follow the paper of this Professor Fan et al. 2012. Yes. So here you could see a lot of applications of GAN and Lasso. All are emerging from the schools of this principle. These people who are able to convert data, who are able to show the path of machines to learn. Okay. So this is one of the way people show you where to improve. I just connect my definition of limitation We need to read more and more and more so that people may lay down little bit limitation here and there, little bit avenues, new avenues here and there, that we have to catch it. So this is one of the biggest um, commercial success roadmap, and research also expected to complete in this portfolio management system and algo, right? Algo based recommendations in stock market data, still an open problem because of extreme volatility. Yeah, whereas the company, how they look at this tail, whatever we have talked about as project management and team building, which is an essential challenge in fixing up an AI product. What is that is, do we follow this top down approach? I know have a practical problem, anybody is able to solve using a methodology which is adaptable for that, and heavy language programming which can capable of doing from the theory to methodology. So that is the way to approach the problem. Or like an academic research, I have a theory, am I searching for practical problem? Yeah, there is, this is the challenge, where to start, whether to have a confluence of these two. It is largely prevail in AI domain. So where that challenge remains here, and you could have come across many articles projecting why, even if it is a startup, even if it is a small mid-cap AI industry, why do they need a strong research-oriented manpower? The reason is you can't handle very simply the practical problems. Practical problems are enormously challenged, extremely challenged. So what you could see from millions of data set available freely, maybe from Kaggle, from R, from Python libraries, or anywhere, whoever shares the data may not be literally exemplifying, illustrating the business challenging data which they bring from 100 years from their business line in different format. So challenges are cannot be enumerated very much simply. So this approach is a lesson we have got from the previous traditional way of learning, shifting that to machine. In what way we can cover up? That's question number one. So that is tail, cautionary tale number one. Tail number two, data issues, underflow and overflow when we are writing it, you know, iterative procedure. I quickly run through a few things for you, because when as a computer science practitioners or programmers or AI specialist, I don't know the background of the participant, but I take something I got from the organizers saying that they are all largely from computer science background or willing to do something on AI. That means engineers. So they may try to do a course of application by writing many libraries from lower level to higher level library, so that you know the meaning of debug and dependency matrix, etc. So which library will be used on which time and so on. So but this caution has to be excised when you run through even a simple problem, good old problem, historical problem, ordinary least square. So I just exemplify, illustrate the case with this flow chart. So the two black blocks, okay, I think one, two, three, four, five, six, fourth and sixth block are very important thing for me. One is finding the matrix of inverse. Still the challenge prevails. It depends on the hardware and the complexity that it may be, thousands and millions of millions row data we may try to do. And if we work out with the inversion of a matrix problem, precisely. So we may solve it in a different manner, but still the problem I would like to focus, because even today there are many algorithms which depend on the simple, good old principle of ordinary least square methods, LS or OLS we call it as. Yeah. So the second, sixth box is computing sum of square. The term itself says that you are going to sum the squares. So squared term, that means positive. If you do a small mistake in your lower level library, then you'll have a very complicated or sometimes embarrassing answers. So that is what I'm trying to show. So these steps will say yet another methodological approach, of course this is R code for that algorithm. Needless to say to you people that any language can be supported to write an algorithm. Okay, so I use R in this presentation, of course, but it can be. And this data set I have taken from one of the repositories available freely in this link. And I take only two predictors and then one response variable, and then I run the show with this code. I just want you to talk about just one thing from the lower library, low level library, that in the block sets in 4, I try to find out the inverse of a square matrix. If I do, I mean, underfitting here, I try to round the number in intermediate steps, I get a highly embarrassing answer of negative sum of squares, which is absolutely meaningless to any common man who could understand the word sum of squares positive. Okay, so it can't be negative or even sometimes zero. Therefore, this error is very, very simple. Nobody would have noticed in the lowest library of your application, but you may. But the problem completed actually. The algorithm is completely run. You got the answer also, so that the end answer may not indicate whether your low library has issues or not. But this is the biggest responsibility. When I ask people to write the program other than libraries, standard libraries in R or Python, I ask them to write the algorithm in pseudocode and then convert it. Then these kind of problems are very, very, very open. Okay, very many people would have not noticed because they want intermediate solution, and knowingly unknowingly they make a lot of mistakes. So creating libraries, lower level libraries, needless to say to computer science people, but you must be very much careful because your algorithms are going to design the higher level requirement in any applications thereafter. Let us quickly get the actual answer. Yeah, the broad, I mean, the 2441 is the right answer. I mean, ideally correct answer, but more importantly, the estimate is absolutely reversed. It is earlier negative, now it is positive. What does it mean? Earlier, you would like to say that if you have moved x, that means climb, then what is your value of y? In a negative, that means it shows the negative relation. If you increase x, y will decrease, but actually the direction is same. Both x and y move the same direction. Say for example, in the case of CHT, if age is more, it says CHT is less. So even it is very much awkward or sometimes embarrassing for a common man, because the stronger belief is in the younger age we may have good health, in the older age probably we may have higher probability of getting CHT. Okay, so positive negative answers are very, very vital. Therefore the mistake is committed by an casual low level libraries, right? That just to exemplify, this may not happen in your exercise, I don't say, but people are not taking sometimes seriously their simple things. It may go very much haywire. Yeah, and what we try to learn from this good thinker Richard Peck, I borrow the word from him. I read because one life is not enough. Yes, this is the biggest answer or the limitation we need to understand. One algorithm will not fit for anyone. So more and more we read, more we build. More we read, more we understand, more we can build the new things. So this is yet another example that in your data set, if you have more and more zeros, then it's very much difficult. If you want to move on sparse research area, limitation number 3, you could gain something from this. Of course, I shared this material already to the organizers. A nice area for a commercial problem, claim validation in insurance industry. Yes. So this is a paper actually. If you search, you could find a paper. Anyway, we are into this 21st century, and the good old mathematics and science are equipped strongly from the earlier centuries to fit an NLP problem or a symbolic mathematics problem from deep learning and etc. from the house of serious business people. Like this is a paper recently we could see for symbolic mathematics, and the second paper is something something providing more insight for that paper. So it is a product of Facebook research, of course. And why do they are concentrating on symbolic method in 21st century, which has a back date from third century with Archimedes work. Okay, so we are into the current process of improvement, improvement, improvement. Yes, so that is the end of my first theme, that we are talking about the road. Our roads are laid, and what are the material we need to have to lay down the road from your part. This is the way if you want to lay down the road. The limitation challenges for laying the road is build the team, more and more effective team. Build a person who is able to constantly able to read, gain knowledge, and try to implement more and more insights, more and more intuition. That's what the lady Lovelace says to us, that adopt. Okay, so that is what I want to connect. Intuition is the biggest requirement to face all these things. Yeah, so takeaway from that is these six, and the three items. How do we align the right appropriate human resources to match the growth of variety of technical know-hows and knowledge? Then essentially the business is tied up with time, tied up with actually three essential, which in business domain we call it as iron triangle. If anybody is from economics background or econometrics or even business background, they could understand this triangle. We normally see that triangle is a very smoothened and thing, but practically it is very difficult to maintain the elasticity of these three: time, money, quality. Okay, so one way or the other, one may pull down the other two, or two may pull the third one. The elasticity is extremely challenging. So business industries, business houses are bringing out how to manage a good quality, maybe in the limited time and limited resource. Maybe with money, maybe you can understand it as a resource. It sometime it may be human, or sometime anything. But anything as related with the resource, by and large connected to money. Therefore, the word says money. But behind that, there is a big pool of resource. So this is the biggest lesson for companies and business people, industries who are able to manage their project and manage their product in a more and more quicker way. Is it possible? Deliver an excellent product also, that is also important, and at cheap price. As a general vendor of any product, you may understand the elasticity of these three terms. If I want to buy an Apple phone by maybe a upper middle class earning fellow, he must have some time and spend money, a lot of money, because he is not compromising on the quality, or he thinks that Apple is an extreme quality product. We don't bother about his idea. But if he still thinks that Apple is the best quality I need to buy, then you have to wait, maybe in time or in money terms, so that you are trying to achieve. So even in our own life, even an individual's life, it may reflect. The iron triangle is actually reflecting everywhere. Okay, how do we compromise this? How do compromise means not on the price of the loss, but elasticity. We may have to compromise on the level in which you can push one or two the other end, and automatically the third will pull in its own way. The balance is very important. Yeah. So how do we manage with earlier? So a lot of done with time and resource in the labor, and then quality control from Japanese to Western to Eastern principles. You would have come across a lot of quality principles, so which ruled the world of many industrial saga of previous centuries, from German model, from Japanese model, Six Sigma, this, that. So a lot of people are coming with a lot of recommendations in each and every decade, maybe 2 decades, 3 decades, that rule the world. Okay, industrial world particularly. And after the successful implementation of information technology for about 40 to 50 years, this is one of the biggest achievement I could see. ATM, auto teller machine, which balances the triangle in a very very nice way. So time, money, and quality all are balanced. So this product I love even today, because for some manual reason probably, or some technical glitches here and there, we may have unpleasant story of ATM. But by and large, it is an excellent service offered by digital world, and in IT infrastructure that we are utilizing. And every village, like an I remember my college day, school Rajiv Gandhi period in my school, and almost college days. that IST, PCO are coming all the way to every people. So communication was the biggest achievement. I'm not endorsing any political thing, but I remember the leader who has some insights on how that can be the next game changer. Okay, paradigm shift. That's what I was telling you. So we had telegraph those days, telegraph system, and the phone has come all the way. And then using those kind of technology, how this brings and this brought technology to almost a remote village everywhere now. The cashless transaction is how it is useful and meaningful with own limitation. Yes. So all possibility from engineering, technology, techniques also. So hardware cheaper and the more computing power. Why does the skill set? I told you just now. We need to build a skill set because our education is widespread today. Availability of educational institutions are widespread today. The availability of skill set people are also more and more abundant, and many people may have come across the Moore law, and we are enjoying the abundant power of computing, abundant power of hardware, and 1 TB in our tab, in our lab is cheaper today. It is not a big deal compared to 20 years ago. So all this made possible that business is changing the look because we never, as an individual, we never try to delete anything from our inbox, or we never try to compress our systems, and we try to do certain process of compressing or crunching our hardwares. We are today free to do lot and lot of things, save in our gadgets, in our system, in our hardware, anywhere available. Okay, so organization are also driven by the same wave only. They are not different. They are also doing a similar way, or we are copying, or we are imitating how industry is adapted. Anyway, data driven decisions, because data is available everywhere, massive. So what they want to do, how machines are able to learn, we want as a human to understand the insights of the data, what it brings, and are we able to predict weather, or a climate, or a stock market, or a health, or buying, education, this, that, everything we want to predict, and we want to make decisions assuming that our data is God's given. Okay, I don't know. So how much you are changing the demography of our lifestyle. If you go to a doctor sometime without patient, his X-ray, his CT scan, and all other reports are highly essential to talk with a doctor without a patient. Just imagine, in some 20 years ago, doctors, we have to visit the doctor. Today, doctors are visiting our records. They are just so we need not visit anywhere sometime. Okay, and car tracking. If you book a car, you are not having any camera, but you are able to see where your booked car is. And last but not least, of course, the Google. I am not undermining. There is no philosophical question here, but Google, almost everybody is consuming whatever we are able to do. Even if you are in the offline, they are able to take the data from your mobile phone. Yeah. So we don't bother about that as of now, but that is what going on. So we are able to understand facial recognition. Even if I want to know the feedback of this one session, I don't need to know the individuals. I don't need to know who are they. If the organizers are recording their facial expressions of the participants, and they don't need even paperback feedbacks, just we can run through those analytical part, and which minute my presentation brought good sleep, or boredom, or something on takeaway, or something on whatever the way we can read it, right? So we don't want to communicate. I mean, we can communicate without seeing you, without speaking to you, and just I can understand moving the reading lips. And if I have a machine and properly calibrated analytic tool, then I can understand what you are trying to say. So I need not even hear. Okay, the business triad, powerful triads are this, and your role as a common man, my role as a common man is the rightmost triangle triad point user. We are generously providing data, 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 and then supplies value. Then it gets a raw material form, and the companies are following gain, giving gain more and more strength to the data, and they are the sellers and advertisement through which economy got into the picture, and finally it comes to you as consumption. So we are providing the raw material and as well we are consuming. This is a strange triad in data industry. Okay, so very strange actually. People who are I'm not getting the expression from the audience or the answers, but this is not new. This is this is existing long ago in the triad, social triad, business triad, and etc. But the strange part is we ourselves provide the raw material and we ourselves consume the value of the data. That means value of the raw material also. So this may not be always the case. For example, in the beginning of this year, this is a take from COO of Swiggy portal aggregators, right? Food chain aggregators. So you could see the piece of information from COO. He says that every day they are collecting the Twitter messages so that they understand what is like, what is disliked about by the customers. So remember, your own social network messages have been pumped into their algorithms. So in the left side, you could see what the Swiggy algorithmist data scientists are uh, doing. 1.5 lakh restaurants of 150 items from 1100 people. Volume is enormous for a day. One day it is. Think about the whole month or year or whatever maybe. What is the output of the business? The business question is their demographic success, where do they move, their ethnic issues, their other gender and any other business model, how the data is so much important to uh, fix the goals, business goals, and getting success. Okay, so it is a simple way the triad works. So where do they get the raw material? It is from your Twitter, it may be from your Facebook, etc., or their own reviews. And this is another model which I which I prefer to bring cricket here, because that is one of the best game, one of the best games in the world, which can be illustrative things for this particular concept. And the triad now changed to Power Bat is providing data. Power Bat is a product conceptualized by our former cricketer Anil Kumble. So he has an IoT application in the cricket bat, which regulatory from the game and etc. So he is authority, domain expert, who comes with an idea, because basically he's an engineer. You would have a thought of using IoT in the bat. And earlier it happened in many ways. Many engineers attempted um, to to have IoT in the stitch of the ball, and they break the ball into two pieces, put the IoT in one end. There are a lot of research going on this way, but we are going to discuss one important aspect from this kind of approach. Okay, yeah. So what is about this particular part? This is giving a data from a batsman, maybe a trainer, I mean trainee, or where a star player or an international player, maybe a local player, whoever maybe. He supplies a lot of values and gains, and then we get. Okay, Star Sports is the front runner who is able to make broadcast more and more colorful, um, more and more consumable data, so that he is able to sell the raw material from Azure. So this is the triad, and this is another attempt by the Bangalore company, Bystands Beam. I think the ambassador is Shikhar Dhawan, and I presume or I take advantage that most of the people love cricket. They see a lot of matches, and I take granted. Okay, please allow me. Or if anybody is not interested in cricket, please don't bother about these examples. But this is just an example. Yeah. So another thing is I can bring out an example from Google and Aravind. I tie up for getting the data to retinopathy venture, and this big patient data is replacing the player data, and Google replaces Microsoft. And who is going to sell that? I don't know. I don't want to talk more on this. Ethical issues are what is being consumed back to the patient or the hospital or to the pharma industry. I don't know exactly, but there is a player, third player, okay, which is not so clear in the previous as in the previous case. Yeah, so there are a lot of research going around this triad from the biostatistics or from the academic background. lot and lot of paper. I am trying to put more on diabetic retinopathy or something related to eye, because I have been associated with Shankar Nethralaya for the similar study in some 5 years ago. For 3 to 4 years, we have been working with some data from Shankar Nethralaya associated in some studies for diabetic retinopathy around Chennai, Kanchipuram, and Thiruvallur districts. Okay, so one of the interesting areas and a lot of potentials in medical allies. So if anybody is interested in R&D of machine learning, there is a great potential requirement and data. Only thing is you must know how to build the triad. Whether even if you're a researcher, the triad is very important. Yeah. So what is the challenge? Challenge is the demand becomes huge actually, because business people are sometimes aggressive in bringing out new avenues, new dynamics in the market like cricket. Then what happens is customers will be highly, they may expect to superfluously. Sometimes it may not be possible for company to handle their expectation, and their experience, their engagement becomes sometime. I'm not blaming, because customers are the major stakeholders in the business cycle, but their expectations may be playing a reverse role, or it gives an impact when you are aggressively focusing your game, your business model. Okay, so that is a great uh, balance you have to have in demand and supply equations of your triad. Yeah, as far as supply is concerned, the industry has a lot of responsibility. It is not easy today to run a show of analytic company or an AI projects. It's not easy. It's a very challenging one, especially to handle high-profile human resource. The reason I told you in my target, in my topic number two, and rapidly evolving technologies that also we have seen here and there in T2. Then the third and fourth, unexpected market dynamics. This is what I'm going to talk now. Then legal and social implication, of course, anywhere, anytime, it will be there in any country. It may differ country to country, geography to geography. So we have to be careful. These are all the challenges. So I don't know what is the role you are going to take in each of this um, balancing mechanism. Really, I don't know. But what I try to say is, even if it is an academic research, understanding this is very important. You cannot publish a paper from gender data or gender racial data without knowing the legal binding, without knowing the ethical issues, social issues. So we have to be careful. Writing a paper also require all these things. So by the time when you start your research, when you complete a paper, maybe 18 months or 24 months would have would have crossed. By the time market may be changed, the application market, what you are writing may change. So you must be cautious in looking at the dynamics of what is going on today, whether the solution is applicable today. So your research would have been started 2 years ago. You collect a literature, you did something empirically or theoretically, come out with a new model, which may not be necessary on today. So some other technique would have swept your research altogether. So market dynamics is important for anybody in this game. Um, yeah, I will talk about the market dynamics once again with Kumble's, and by and large the cricket domain dynamics. Cricket is one of the best example to learn this term, domain dynamics. Okay, it is working with lot and lot of changes in the game, lot and lot of components to change by players' natural attitude and environment. Cricket is an environment game. It is not algorithmic. Sometimes, most of the time, environment of the condition is dominating the game, and coupled with players' natural attitude, which is very much blessed, very much loved to see, watch, and you can't change sometimes. Trade-off, rule book versus intuition. I told you, no, the lady Lovelace had a intuition. Till date, even now, intuition wins games in many ways. Okay, so what you call it as risk, this actually seed from the word intuition. You have an intuition that been evolved over a period, and you are trying to step out. then that word risk is with you. Then responsibility will take care. Then you are going to deliver. Your intuition is a success story. If it doesn't deliver, then you go back and think what is wrong in my intuition, not in the risk. So this is the typical way we try to work. In some cases, it may be a rule book, objectivist. I told no, objectivism and subjectivism. This is the way. Rule book is typically rule based, like a chess game or a Go, Chinese Go game. I mean, people are familiar with the Go games. It has a combination of 2 into 10 to the power 170, huge number of combinations, which cannot be played by human, which cannot be. How can you enumerate all such possibilities? 10 to the power 170, it twice of that. So that number is absolutely not possible to in human hands. So machine can do that quickly so that it can beat. I'm not undermining the effort of Super Go or this Go, that Go. There are many Go games and chess game which beats human speed. Evidently, it is possible because they are all algorithmic. This dynamic is something different. Cricket is not that much deterministically played. Of course, there is no stochastic in that, but governed by these points. And sometimes it will be very difficult to ask players to come into a recommendation plane. Okay, I'll show you some of my beloved players, heroes, and I'm not endorsing that you also like them, but this is the example I would like to say why numbers are always not helpful in cricket. This is the excellent website. They are doing excellent job in compiling the numbers behind international cricket for many years. All the countries, all the players, all type of matches. The database is huge enough. Anybody can get the data, do the analysis of their own way, and bring out some good insights of cricket. Good. What is the takeaway? If anybody is familiar or following something in the recently concluded IPL 2020, this program is one of the my favorite watch actually because I like personally that Shrikant, who is something game changer in 80s and 80s of course, and then 90s to some extent, I think middle of 90s perhaps, but the game changing efforts, he is one of the earliest players in fact. Yeah, actually I don't know whether time permits me to run these videos. In this video, he is thoroughly examining and recommending not from numbers at all. In fact, the whole session between the two presenters, he and his son, could give the idea behind algorithmic approach and environmental based approach, subjectivity. Okay, objective and subjective. So especially this game between SRH, no, DC versus MI. After that match, that analysis was excellent. You could say rule book may not work always. So designing an algorithm, even in the game of cricket game, there are a lot of computer games for cricket. You could see they are all almost rule book. If you want to blast like Matthew Hayden or Shrikant or 360-degree player ABD Villiers, there are many, but these three players I love mostly, especially Matthew Hayden, who is never bothered about some rules I have coined in the left side. Offside, sixer is difficult, or you never advance fast bowlers, but he never care about you can never respect fast bowlers. What is the dynamics you are going to bring from this kind of data? You could say it is a sixer. Well, in what way it is executed? Will you bring it in power bat by Anil Kumble, which calculates 360-degree power and 360-degree of a revolution of your batting, your bat, and then speed in which the ball hit, which spot, sweet spot, or anywhere it hit, and which area you want to bowl? Absolutely not possible. So it is very, very difficult to portray their things. Professor Bhaskar,
Yes, sir.
if I run any video, will it be shared to those people? I don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it so?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think I can relax the people because um, if this video is, yeah, the internet is testing, but I just want to show you maybe at least some 10 seconds or so. Probably you may not hear the sound, but just see how he walks down the line and never try to respect the
So I
bowlers.
think that is not sharing, sir. You have to share in the entire screen, then only it will be possible. It seems.
And that's what I
Still
was
the
asking you.
still the slide is there remains, sir.
Okay, so share the complete screen where it is
Yes.
available. Is it in the advanced?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay,
At
okay,
your
okay,
end,
okay.
share screen. Yes, sir. Now it's visible.
Now it is
Yes,
fine.
sir.
You see each and every shot is not anything in rule book. Everything, whatever the bowler, you could see always he is walking down. See, your ESPN Cricket Info could say that this is a four bowled by I don't remember the name, but yeah, the
Irfan
outcome
Pathan, sir.
is yeah, Patan. The next. So commentary is really really good. People who enjoy a lot from YouTube videos. This is one of my picks actually. So another thing I could show you is the evergreen Vivian Richards and 360-degree master of ABD Villiers. Even this recently completed IPL, we enjoyed his game. So cricket is absolutely market dynamics. Whether you are seeing my screen,
No, sir.
coming back to the PPT.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, there are a lot of videos. My pick is this four. If you are sharing the PPTs with the participant, they can enjoy if they really enjoy cricket. But
Sure,
the,
sir.
the lesson for us is dynamics, market dynamics, and how it will be formalized. This is yet another hero I try to bring out from my own perception. That is what actually the data bias we are talking about. Okay, it is presenter bias. I love this cricketer. I adore this cricketer who changed the game of Indian cricket when in '83 when we were underdogs. So what I want to bring you is when Kapil entered into the team, did he have any data? Did he have any historical data? Absolutely no. But what brings in the changeover, paradigm shift is his ability or his principle, strategy, which is not rule book, which is not algorithm. So there are a lot of challenges we need to formalize as a principle for algorithm when we try to handle this IoT supported and data oriented triad. Maybe power backed by Anil Kumble and data by Microsoft Azure. Seamlessly you get the outputs and Star Sports bring out your statistics. But as a viewer in the TV, sometimes extraordinary numbers, more and more numbers irritate you. I don't know that the taker, the consumer of the data, my feeling many times that why these numbers are flooded in the screen when it is not useful, because we enjoy other departments of the game also equally like this. People may not forget Jandy Rhodes' effort to throw himself to the wicket. The rule book says throw the ball, not you, but this is the dynamics. Okay, the greatest effort by the natural instinct of the player. And Natarajan, needless to say, best output of the present day cricket, continuously he is able to bowl Yorker. If you make an algorithm for that, you pitch in every time in the fine length or in the inside Yorker, he can't. Sometimes he also fails. Sometimes he brings beautiful Yorker, which we witnessed in the IPL to remove ABD Villas. So It is tremendous. You can't find out the way formalize, at least today. So this is what I want to bring you the challenge, that there are many avenues you are not able to portray, you are not able to formalize with data. Sometimes you may not have a data like Kapil. He may have a negative data, in fact. And that time, in 1983, Indian team was underdog in such a way that you can't beat Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe was powerful at that time. But when you beat West Indies, which are kings of that period, the story changed. You know the story after that. Okay. So there is a there is something else which drive our society. There is something else which drive our life, our potential, our energy. Okay. What is the need of an individual like Kapil Dev to promote cricket in that aggressive way? I don't know. That may be that lesson we got from history. Anyway, formalizing strategies of a business is not easy if you take cricket as business. Yeah, that is the big lesson, big challenge in the business world. And one liner, bottom line is, how do you understand the business market dynamics? In the third point of my balancing act between demand and supply, as a researcher or a consultant or an entrepreneur or anybody who is running the industry, you have the challenge how to formalize certain principles of important business dynamics. So now we get into our technology part. So there is, I think I take granted from the group of audience coming um, from computing background, computer science, or any other supporting departments. I take something straight away to this questions: whether more data solve the problem. My technology is able to handle more data dynamics. I am able to derive blah blahs. Okay, am I able to answer this question, whether more data solve the problems? Unfortunately, no, in many cases. So this is one of the examples. Of course, something disturbing for some people. Don't read it. It is a fatal accident of Boeing 737. If you don't like them, if it is disturbing, please keep away. But it is at another time. I'm telling it is for informational purpose. I'm not blaming Boeing or anybody for that matter. But this is the real scenario of how weather condition, that means climate condition, has played a spoil sport in technology. And number I mean So this video, I don't know whether you are able to get the audio.
Audio is not hearing, sir.
Yeah. So this accident actually happened mainly because um, yes, this is the major problem. Okay, so this is an important challenge in technology side, how we are able to move with that. It may be little annoying for somebody. Please uh, take it again from me. I don't deliberately include this kind of accidents, but this is a story we need to understand, challenge, the limitation of our technology. Okay, so we have to be careful in working out all the good and bad of things. Yeah, the second one example I would like to show you is more data sometimes become very irritating, annoying, embarrassing to an individual who is very innocent. Yeah, like Robert McDaniel, a 22-year-old black man. You know there is a racism in US in many accounts. So example actually targets that. So once again, I'm not bringing out any such stories, but this is an example, real example. Chicago Police Department has knocked his door saying that don't commit any further crimes. Just imagine if your door is knocked by a policeman and coming and say you are going to do a crime or a murder the day after tomorrow. If they predict like that, how much you will be annoyed. That guy has got into a high surprise because he never committed a crime, he never had a violent criminal record, and of course, he never have any contact with police personnel for law enforcement. So it's highly embarrassing to the individual. Why? Because it is something a new science called predictive policing. Data from social network. How Swiggy example, if you remember, just now I showed you, Swiggy is taking data from your social network, and that social network data has multiple contacts. Anyone in our chain, our multiple contacts may have susceptibility for crime, then that will be the same thing like the data that chronic heart disease data. Like that, they would apply any algorithm to predict any individual is susceptible for doing crime. Unfortunately, this Robert was one among them. You and me may be a victim in the future. How to handle those situations, we don't know. But it all because of the algorithm. So this is a very nascent, very new area of research. You could, I don't know whether you are aware of that, and I don't take anything on my presumption. It may be familiar to you, may not, but it is my intention. I just want you to talk about that. Predictive policing, it is a 2019 paper from Public Administration Research, so ethical principles and all. So this is a real photo from Netherlands that police department are conscious to bring their reputations not by doing probing unnecessarily or getting into some annoying role. So this is police polite is a mission they tried to bring out recently in Netherlands. So it is not anything new. For that, they are equipped with the technology. Today, many police patrolling machines, I mean, patrolling systems are equipped with a lot of technology. Um, but they are all having limitations that big data may not be helpful always. More data may not solve the problem. Sometimes it may affect the other, I mean, unprivileged population of this society. Please take care. And third one, very aggressive industrial revolution is autopilot cars. And in 2040, it is expected to flood in the market of China, US, and Europe. And of course, India also may not be an exemption over there, whether your children or your grandchildren may have to live with this uh, or enjoy this autopiloting system. So there are a lot of instances of fatal crashes. I don't endorse only for Tesla. There are many companies, in fact, GM, Google cars, and many cars coming up the data of accidents, but the data are not sufficient to handle those kind of crashes. Actually, this is a very disturbing story that an Apple engineer who was given a testing car by Tesla actually died on the spot in crashing with that. Oh, not this one. That this one, I believe, in the median of the road. We call it as right, because the while driving he was operating his computer, sorry, mobile. The signals have made some interference, and car computer cannot understand the pavement in the middle of the road or in the median, what we call it. So on the spot. So it is a costly affair in human lives, in ethical and legal, etc. But the race for creating self-driving car is not stopped. So we are expecting that industry will grow, but the problem is more and more you collect data may not solve the problem because the situations are very much different. And many more from big people. Take thinking about you from Microsoft. Within 6 hours of its launch, it has stopped because of very much annoying social interference. This bot has been stopped by Microsoft. Google flu trends and Google dengue trends from the data which has, uh, they are the god of data today, but they can't do, they can't make reasonable predictions of flu and dengue cases. So they stopped the project, and today, if you see Google flu trends, it is stopped. There is no update from them. And finally, from IBM also, which they are connected to a cancer project from MD Anderson Institute, which is two big organization coupled to have data science achievements, but it was not an operation today. IBM Watson schema with MD Anderson, almost it is stopped to my knowledge. Okay, so there are some limitations, some challenges, even if you collect enormous data. So I can solve this problem from theoretically, I can show you, but that is too theory, we don't want to now. But practically, not all the occasions are blessed with more data. So big data is not solving all the solutions. Yeah, and this is another challenge in technology front. Even now, I have shown you how much I am biased to bring only three players, four players of my interest. Like that, machine can also do bias because your algorithms are designed by human, so which is biased. So there are a lot of stories. One of the story which I want to show you is this is at another time. Please understand or take my acknowledgement. I am not promoting anything. I'm just showcasing how the research is going from big schools, MIT lab, and this is University of Washington for YouTube automatic captions, where they are able to understand gender and dialect. The papers are not old. Please remember, it is at least from 18, 19, 20. That is the way I collected, and this is the small video. Sometime it may be disturbing for some people who are into gender issues. They take it so much to your mind. Please keep away, because this lady who is working in MIT media is bringing out this video. Why AI cannot find out, that is the facial recognition. Why it cannot find out black women. Okay, so this is the title itself says a story. So if you are interested, you can get through all these things, and lot of bias issue in natural language processes, and Facebook has an issue. Even Amazon stops, in fact, its own recruiting AI system because the AI cannot um, distinguish or recognize women applications. Though the company policy is not discriminating gender, but their algorithm does the same thing, so does the other way. So they stop the recruiting tool. Therefore, bias is a big challenge today. Theoretical point, research point, application point, bias is extraordinarily roadblock for us, especially in facial recognitions and other areas. Okay, where the whatever we feel in the society like gender bias or something, machine is also learning in a similar way because data. Because sometimes the data may not be representing the whole population, even though it is a sample, right? Big data means it's a sample only, so it may not represent. Sometimes underprivileged may not be included in the patient record, or in the human face repositories, so that machines are not properly trained to distinguish black men and black women. So these are all very serious research around the world to handle bias, even if you are flooded with big data. To read more about bias, I bring one of the best sources which I read. It's my, of course, I am biased to project this. There could be a number of articles, a number of books, but this is excellent thing. The title of the book is Weapons of Math Destruction, and the author is the lady Lovelace, how I was endorsing Ada in 1815. This lady is the living period 20th and 21st century, who came from maths background, did something in financial advising, and now she's running a consultancy called algorithmic auditing. Beautiful word she coined. So she is concerned about how the algorithms cannot destruct destructible, so that human lives are in danger. One simple example is actually the feedback system initiated in the US um, when she was young, and some teachers lost the job because of erroneous algorithm. Because of feedback mechanism, algorithms were bad. Even though some good teachers, they were fired by US department, Of course, those teachers got the job immediately back by other district or other counties or other schools, but the cases were not justified because they believe very much strongly the algorithms. Okay, so I don't advocate that you are not you are exempted from algorithms, but these are all the limitation, challenge, open to you. Yeah, so this is a nice piece of um, reading. If you are interested to know the case studies where algorithms fail, where algorithms are really destructive. Okay, and 55 minutes of this view by this lady, and some 1 hour talk in Google meetings are worth reading, worth watching, and very much resourceful. If you are interested, you can understand the challenges, like how algorithms are destructive in somebody's life because of bias or because of the data sparsity, or sometimes we don't know what we try to promote. Yeah, the third challenge is monopoly. So far, we have witnessed the stories from big companies, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, etc., Tesla, GM, like that. So the powerhouse of the data is lying in few hands today. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you want to start an AI initiative, then the roadblocks are very challenging because of high throughput human resource, data storages, cloud computations, and they hold a lot and lot of shares. Monopoly is an issue. I don't know whether it is disturbing, but it is a challenge. We must understand that yes, I am in the world of some monopoly crippling around me. It's revolving around me. So when you try to initiate some AI things beyond college campus, when you come to business world, you are facing very different problem. I'm not undermining anybody audience here, but if I say that it is more audience from academic background, then there is a difference like this monopoly issue we have to face in real time business world. What I mean by real time, even academics have real time, right? So they are not in some imaginary thing. So they are also in the real world, commercial field also in the real world, but the challenges are sometimes different. Limitations are different sometimes. This monopoly may not affect education sector that much compared to startups, compared to young entrepreneurs, compared to sometime mid-cap industries. So, what the focus number two is, big is always not better. Objectivity, subjectivity, how Ada started the career and showed the path of human thinking. Then societal and human prejudice. I told no dynamics, market dynamics, and not acceptance. Acceptance rate for players like Srikanth or players like even Natarajan. I don't. He may not be a easy guy that you can recommend you bowl. He's playing a natural way. You leave him to play naturally. Then only it is. Yes. Then the databases. Then finally the monopoly. And the last topic, which is try to say, which is completely from my perspective, philosophy and ethical point. And whatever the thing we try to do, we are governed by law of nature to preserve mankind. So these two lines I like very much and just want to share. So a lot of things been talking about mimicking human brain to artificial intelligence, but is it that much possible? I open a question as a limitation because it's from my mind. I feel, I'm not advocating. Please try to understand. My feel is it is very very difficult because it is not mere biological machine. It is supported by mental machine, which is for emotions, memory, communication, motoring, thinking, proprioception, so that you are able to balance your body and how your body is able to understand that it is sitting. You are sitting now. You are sitting comfortably. You are lying down. You are walking. You are walking fast. How it can understand that proprioception will be an excellent topic you can probe into neuroscience. So today, all the fields are almost closer to each other. We are almost shrinked to many fields: medicine, neuroscience, biomechanics, etc., etc. Thanks to computer, thanks to data, thanks to engineering, thanks to technology, thanks to techniques. But there are certain things which we can't reach because of the natural inhibition behind in it. Yeah. Anyway, there is a theoretical achievement from schools of objective and some kind of subjective, but the name is different: classical versus dynamics theory of brain. And one of the important important person I would like to show you is Bernstein, who is a Russian, probably not much popularized like Western scientist, unfortunately. But his theory is the basic of biomechanics today. Okay, he coined the word actually biomechanics. Biomechanics plays the vital role in many industry today. You could see in sports, lifestyle, diet, and then cosmetics, beauty and cosmetics field, like FMCG. And that industry is all coming with biomechanics. How your skin is reactive, how your cheek is reactive when you are laughing, and etc. etc. So the lot of mechanisms. You can read your brain, you can read your stimulants, you can read your muscles using many medical achievement. So this is the philosophy behind in it. We are trying to adopt the principle of fight or flight. So just observe that if you are having a pet in your home, if you show a tiger picture to that dog or cat, how it may get frightened. Either it may fight with that, or it may run away from the scheme. That means human also working under this principle. Fight or flight is a big philosophical science for us. And of course, we are able to understand whether you are fighting or flying using things like EMG or ECG. But even when you sleep, how it is able to, our stimulants are working, we are able to understand. Data is available, but is it possible? The best example I would like to show you is this guy, very early, in fact, Finis Gage, one of the important case studies in medicine. Actually, he met with an accident. A iron rod pierced his forehead and damaged the brain, ending up with changing the behavior. His behavior was changed. He became very calm and quiet, and etc. Because he is a mason in some railway or some work. So earlier he was very much violent, some moody fellow, something like that. But after that accident, he become. So the brain has some impact on senses. It has impact on the behavior also, outward behaviors. So this word is actually the doctor who handled the patient. I dressed him, but God healed him. One of the nicest stories, if you want to understand brain and how it works, and then the way human science are able to catch the way our brain and mind, etc., is working from a Western background. But I like the word, so that I give the Wikipedia connection with that. I trust him, God healed him. Actually, the story is about that guy, Finis Gage. Okay, and very interesting story for many medical sciences. Okay, so what is the genesis for all the more? All these things. Is it memory or intelligence or processor? That means the mind and ego. But our science, something is, we are human being embedded with this from nature or from God. We don't know. If you believe God, you say it is God. These four items: food, fear, liberation, and reproduction. They are all embedded when you are in the womb of your mother. So it is carried by you. You are coming with this quality to this world. We don't know whether you are trying to build this story. So it is embedded. Okay, that is my perception. I have the theoretical support, or where I find these kind of things. I have interested people can extend the discussion, but not now, because nothing is given very much casually. I take effort to give it to learned audience, that it must have proper background. It is all okay. One of my most lovable area to learn is human systems. Okay, so how that, so not like a physician, not like a doctor, but still our own body is beautiful and provide million of information, million of surprises, thousands of surprises. which we can learn for the whole lifetime. Like the pet says, I read because I don't have one lifetime for that. In fact, one of the Indian congressmen uttered this in his autobiography. His title itself is, I think, Natwar Singh. Autobiography is One Life is Not Enough. So many people thought we can't learn. In Tamil, I don't know how many of you know Tamil. Avayar says, Katrathu Kaiman Alavu. So this is the best example. We human ourselves is limited to this. Why? Because there are many tangible things around us. Many tangible things around us. And as setting up, there are areas where human may not be able to handle. Human themselves cannot be able to understand what are the challenges we need to face. Like the one, if you're too much aggressive, like, or if you're too much connecting, believing on data, please remember you are playing with somebody's costliest thing in their life: money, health, education, personality, and so many. Just to look at the way, if you compare Swiggy's attempt to draw inferences, information from Twitter, this is same thing done in an algo, and a false message tweeted by thousand and odd people make a slump in the market for smaller time but collapsed many individuals' packet. So we have to understand there is a lot of challenges in front of you in terms of ethical considerations when you plan with AI. If you are too much aggressive, then you are playing with somebody's money, somebody's very essential or costlier items, which may not be known to you in the corner of the world when you are sitting with your computer or algorithm. Yeah, when human ourselves has debatable how we do training data, how do we get the data? I may be biased, so my data will also be biased when you connect from me. So naturally, the training data itself will be a problem. You know the danger of problematic training data and testing data from that, then validation, then design, it goes on. For example, there is a railway track and you are the engine driver. There is in the path A about 6 children or 7 children are playing, and in path B, with an input from her mother saying that train will not come in path B, but you are charted to play in path B. What will you take an action? What will you do if you are not able to apply brakes? You have to kill. So which path? Will you go by number or will you go by human lives? We don't know. When you are debating your own self, how you expect that algorithms will become undebatable, bringing unique solutions always. So when we drive with the co-passengers, which is more important for you, your safety or a driver safety, passenger safety, fellow road user safety, which is top priority. Many accidents happen to avert pedestrians, and the drivers were killed, passengers were killed to save a dog, to save a human being. So the balance between these are debatable, highly debatable. So data alone may not capture those debates, those challenging mindsets in the moment of accident happening. So challenges are sometimes persist with the human being ourselves. And today, it may be solved tomorrow, 2015, 2100, I don't know. But challenges today, that's my theme. And yeah, these are all some funny part. Uh, I can skip this too because maybe time is running up. And, yeah. So this future pet, I don't like generally pet. So, but still the future pet is a animated dog or robo dog. I don't know how many of you are pet lovers here. Will you replace robotic dog in your home? A question to you, debatable. Okay. And societal values. I don't know how many your age and all. How many of you know that YouTube is running Google sorry, YouTube is running YouTube Kids. Okay, it is a big political stunt by congressmen for this particular Google Kids. Actually, there is a video called Google Kids. You have to have parents' permission and all. But I don't know how many of us bring Google YouTube video kids to our kids. We bring everything to our drawing room, from TV, from Alexa, from Siri, this, that, everything. So what is the transparency the companies are maintaining? If you buy a car, if you buy a fan, if you buy a induction stove, there is a sticker saying the story, what is the intended job for that product. Okay, but AI products, do they have any instruction what to ask with Alexa? If the child is asking any um, inadvertently, maybe child is innocent, but if they ask any question from newspaper or news, anything which is um, not accounted for the child, think Alexa will never bother. So we have debate in many ways how to handle societal values, conspiracies around us, political, economical, theoretical, and so many skewed views. Right, many skewed views are popular today in YouTube by us, one among us. I don't say you and me, one among us. You could see hatred messages, and without having any knowledge, they try to support or they try to oppress the theories, the thought process of a leader, of an actor, even of a common man, an educational institute, a business firm. They never know what is the story behind it, but they can make videos. They can make videos in such a way that it will be popular. So they work out with numbers, but ethics is what I want to point out here. And still, we are in the world of priceless things given to us by the nature. So please, um, I just want to show you this. Of course, human skills are enormous. That's a short video I have edited. Um, this video may be popular with many YouTube viewers or Facebook sharing. How the child is learning. And finally, I just want to show you a small, beautiful encounter with animal and human. This is an alpaca, normally in South America. So the human is trying to survive, helping to that cub, small one, and the mother is watching very anxiously how he is able to save it. It's a 2-minute video only, but I just go through that. The whole process is very cautiously handled by the farmer to save the cub, and he put a lot of effort. And sure, watch that mother, how is she is curious and anxious about that kid, and finally he brought it, and it is able. So please watch the. Of course, I like that. It may not be biased, but it is about to walk, and it's walking. Yeah, it's walking. It joins with the mother, and look at the expression of mother. Two things. One is it's communicating to this kid and try to communicate to the human. See, for a few seconds, nature allows to communicate. It acknowledges. It may not have the language, but it has a right feeling to acknowledge the human to thank. So in the world of sharing, we are sharing with nature, with a lot of lot of priceless moment, priceless things in our life around us. So what I conclude is respect nature. That is the biggest challenge for us today. With enormous technology, we human beings are sharing this planet Earth. We are not owning anything. We are living here to share the space available given to every individual, maybe a mosquito, maybe a rat, or whatever the way it comes on your way as a human being. So intuition or illusion is always based on reality. Strength depends on its fit with the desires and where it is, because it is all from countless humans, young children. How do they learn? How do they catch nature? How do they accustom to us? How do they accustom to the society? So lot of responsibility for, as a researcher, as an entrepreneur, as an industrial person, as a business, commercial, etc., etc., etc. Educators, we have a lot of responsibility to respect nature and somebody's intuition, somebody's illusion, because we can't rob somebody's illusion. That is the only one stroke you can bring his happiness down. So sense, sensibility, sensitivity to the society is the biggest limitation and challenge for any technology driven, whether it is AI or anything. Of course, it fits well to AI. So thank you for your extreme patience of listening, and I thank KCG College, IT department, and the other organizers for bringing out an excellent title for this thing and picking me up to talk about that. Any questions if you have? I am interested, in fact. I don't know. Okay, let me stop for this moment. Yes, sir. Yes, Professor Bhaskar, I'm done. If you have any questions, I'm open to that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful session. Participants, if you have any queries, you can unmute yourself and you can ask.
Okay.
Sir, one question from the is it possible to incorporate blockchain by using R? Because you are a R specialist, that's why the question is.
Yeah, but I'm not that much exposed to that domain with R. R might have been. I don't know exactly. So the answer is I don't know. I'm not a person to answer at this moment because I am also into the learning. Um, the capability of R in blockchain, I have never attempted anywhere. So unless I attempted to the complete story, I may not be able to answer you. Sorry, I don't have an idea about that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you for your wonderful session, sir. And you have covered a basic about limitations, power of intuition, objectivity versus subjectivity, and history of Lady Lovelace, and market business dynamics. And finally, you have quoted our favorite Avayar quotes. That's
Yeah.
was interesting in seeing the Tamil words in the presentation. Thank you for your wonderful
Yeah,
session.
anybody interested to get connected, I have my mail ID, I have my phone number. So research is open, learning is open, and thank you all.
Thank you.